Okay, and we're back. Second impulse of the December 16th day. Last time, if you recall, I activated 2 core. The 67th and the 48th cores were both activated. Now, they cannot be activated again. The game doesn't let you, just keep activating the same people over and over until there's at least one intervening impulse. So that's why I put those markers on top of those entire cores in reminding me that I cannot activate them. So as soon as I do something with this impulse and then give the allies a turn and come back, those guys will be eligible to activate. So I've got some good cards in my hand. I've got some interesting things to do. And here's what I'm thinking. My brief experience with the game is indicated that, this is not something where it's about just coming up with the best attacks and just destroying, as many allied units as possible. It's about getting the Germans westward, pushing through, bulging. So we want to get all the way over to, this is the River Meuse here. It goes up to Namur. And if we can get units across on the western side for mechanized units, for every strength point, you get 2 victory points. So we send a unit over there with, attack of 5, that's 10 VPs. That would be huge. For infantry, it's just 1 strength point, 1 victory point per strength point. So we want to move. Plus, there are, as you can see on the board, these cities that have VPs on them. So we want to claim those. We got to get VPs. So we've got to go grab strategic towns, cities, and get across the river if possible. So with that in mind, here's what I think I want to do. I want to play this card here to activate the 47th. What I call this guy? These guys are the 58th. I forget what I called them. The 47th. I can read Roman numerals. I'm just not super lightning fast at it. So this is the 47th Panzer Corps. They're one of my favorites to activate because they're right here in the middle of the board. They've got a lot of armor, a lot of good units, and they can actually make a pretty good bulge. So they're fun to play. So I want to activate these guys, and I'm not necessarily going to just attack. I want to move. Now, let's talk about movement. Moving across unbridged river hex sides is allowed in this game. It costs all the movement points for a unit, and only 1 unit can go across any unbridged hex side per activation. And in the design notes, it's mentioned that even though you don't see a bridge here, at this level you can't see it, but if we zoomed in, you would see a couple of small, maybe 1 small bridge in this hex. And so allowing 1 unit to use all of its movement points to cross represents these guys having to travel a long way down, go across, and then come a long way back, kind of a thing. So one of these units can come across this unbridged hex side. One of these guys can go across this unbridged hex side, all right? And of course, we have a perfectly good bridge here. So you're probably wondering, why am I not just having them go across the bridge? And that's because there is a special rule in effect throughout the entire day of December 16th called German traffic jams. Only 1 unit can cross a bridge per activation. So what that means is I'm going to have 1 guy go, come here you, 1, and then another guy is going to cross. I have a hard time with these chits one way or another, whether I'm using my fingers or this thing. 2, and then this guy is going to go ahead and go across the bridge by going 1, 2, 3. Now at this point he has to stop because he's next to a position hex. I have to roll a die. If I roll a 2 or lower, 8, I would put a roadblock out, okay? And then for his 5th point, he's going to go here and 8 again. I like that. And so he goes here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stops here. And that's because in my previous games, I've seen a lot of Allied reserves pop up in this hex. So I want to get there first. So now it gives us some presence on this side of the river. We'll see what we can do with that later. Meanwhile, the card I'm using is allowing me to activate all the units in the core, so I want to do just that. And I want to go ahead and attack this guy here. Now the problem here, or at least the challenge, is that we're going to be attacking from across a river with most of the units, and firepower is halved. So let's see what I can do here. One of these guys is going to just get across the river, because that's important, so he'll do that. This guy is going to go 1, 2, 3. This guy is going to go, oh, what's he going to do? He can't get here, this guy. Nuts. It's going to cost 3 to get into here. Once he goes into here, he's in this guy's zone of control, so he would have to stop. But my plan is to move these guys. This stack would go 1, 2, 3, and then 4. I don't think I can get this guy into the battle, can I? No, I don't think I can, so I'm just going to move him here for 3. And then on a future activation, I can bring him across the river. All right, so anyway, we do have a flanking attack here. Now the good news is you can aggregate all of the units attacking across the river and have that total. You don't have to have them individually. So 4, 8, 11, 14. So we've got 7 attacking from across the river and another 7 here. So we've got 14 to 3. Okay. You know what I might do? Instead of moving this guy across the river, I think we're just going to back him up into here. All right. So now we have 11, 18, so 9 and 7 is 16, because that'll also give us 1 elite unit to use in the attack. Yeah, all right. Okay, so we've got, well, we have to pull the allied card now, but before we pull the allied card, 16 to 3 is 5 to 1, and I have to decide if I want to play a combat tactic now before drawing the allied command card. So let me decide that. No, let's let it go. I've got some good cards here. I don't want to give these up. So we had 5 to 1, and as far as maximum chit pulls, I've got 7 units that are not bracketed attacking, and so that's 7 plus 1 for having an elite, and there are no other bonuses. So that's 8 pulls without playing any combat tactics cards. So I think that's pretty good. So these are my numbers before I pull this card. So I'm going to pull an allied command card, and we're going to look to see if the formation matches either the division, 28th division, okay, or the corps, 8 corps, or the army, and that color is the 3rd army. So if this card is one of those, then we're going to look for an undetected defender. If it's not any of those, then we're going to apply the card's combat tactics. So what do we get? 8 corps. Well, there you go. Okay. Now, does this apply? Let me double check. Okay. I believe the rules work like this. This is a division card, which you can tell the difference between this and a core card by this just has a stripe and then mentions it activates one of these divisions, whereas this core card, you know, has the full color block and activates all the units in the core. So I believe that this card doesn't count as an 8 core. I believe it counts as the 9th Armored with the 101st, and this is the 28th. So I believe that this is not a match. So I think we don't pull an undetected defender, but instead apply the artillery tactic. I mean, just as an example, this is the 8 core card. Had I pulled this, 8 core matches 8 core, or had I pulled a card that mentioned the 28th division, then I don't even know if there is a card for that, or if it's in the game, then that would have been considered a match for the purpose of an undetected defender. But since this is a division card referencing the 9th and the 101st, I don't think I pull an undetected defender. I'm sure somebody out there will correct me if that's not the case. So we're going to give the Allies some artillery. All right, so our combat odds don't change. We're at 5, maximum pulls are 8, and we've got a improved position to get through. I don't necessarily have to kill the unit, I just want to back them off. So let's see how we do. Alright, first 2 pulls, and remember any light blues, I have to reshuffle everything. Ooh. Ah, crap. Alright, well, so attacker artillery, we didn't play artillery, but so I flip it to the backside and it asks if the defender did. Sorry, I got a phone call there. I'm back. So this one applies to them, and then attacker elite. Good thing that I committed that 1 elite unit because that's going to play for us. So we've got 2. I'm going to go for the full 8. So pulling them one at a time. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, let me organize these and see what we got. All right, these are the effects that apply. These ones don't apply, neither the front nor the back. Attacker elite is D1, defender artillery and defender artillery both apply, good for the allies, and then we've got 4 to 1 or better, and then a very simple 1 to 1 or better. So we've got 1A, we've got 2 hits that we have to take. Now this D1 eats up a hit. Furthermore, that improved position eats up a hit, so I discard that, and that eats up another hit. So what we're left with is 2 hits for us and only 1 for them. And so you can see why you kind of need to go in with big attacks, because you just don't know what you're going to get. We have to do defender hits, then we'll apply them to the German units. All right, you remember that there's that priority list for applying hits. And it starts off, has the defender retreated twice? No. Are the number of hits equal to or greater than the number of steps? Well, in this case, that's not the case because there's only 1 hit to apply and there's 2 steps. So then we go to the next one. It says, if losing a step would cause this unit to exert no control. Now, a bracketed unit that is on its wounded 1-step side exerts no control. So in this case, losing a step would cause it to exert no zone of control, so it's going to retreat 1 hex. It doesn't want to retreat into enemy zone of control here or here, so it's going to go here, plus it's along the path of retreat, so it's going to retreat 1 hex. So all we did was back it up, and then we've got to take 2 hits. Not something I really enjoy doing. I tell you what, I'll lose this infantry who wasn't across the river yet. Okay, now we do get to advance. Only 1 unit can advance into an enemy zone of control. Sorry, I'm conflating a couple rules here. The rules for the advancing get a little intricate. This is an unbridged hex side. 1 unit may advance across, only 1, an unbridged hex side. So, but this guy can come from his hex side, he can move in, and this guy, one of these guys can come in from his hex side. All right, and then if I want one of these guys, what do we have here? 2 infantry. No, I'm going to leave them there. So that's going to be our advance. All right, all in all, not terrible, but not as great as what we had before. And if the game weren't interesting enough, this is a very interesting aspect now. We played 3 command value points. Remember that 10 limit that we had on the first impulse? We had to play 10. Well, now our limit is 5. We don't have to play 5, we can play up to 5. If I don't play, if I stop here, I'm giving the allies a turn. Otherwise, I need to play some cards. Maybe I'm not ready to play cards. So it gives you some interesting decisions of, do I want to draw up and get some more cards, or do I want to use... I guess since I've only used 1 card, I'm going to go ahead and play another card or 2 before giving the allies a turn. So let me have a second to think about that. So I think this is what I want to do. Just use this card here for 3 command value. I'm going to use this card for 2 command value, which takes us to our command value of 5. And I'm going to play the Bridge Engineers event. This way I can get a couple cards back in my hand for tactics. I was considering very strongly activating the first SS unit up here. And there's a lot we can do with them, but I don't want to use up the cards that I currently have for their combat tactics, so this seems to be a reasonably good play here. So I'm not giving the allies an extra turn. I'm using 5 command value points, and we're going to do Bridge Engineers. And I think might as well just do this, right? So we again, I don't like these chits. They don't really, I think I'm supposed to put them here, but I don't know. All right, we got ourselves a bridge. So I discard those 2. And now I can remove these and these since they didn't get activated. They've had their 1 off turn. The 47th Corps is the one that I can't activate next time. All right, let's pull an allied card. Wow, another no command. I would rather have these come out as combat tactics than as events. I'd much rather have that. That means I'm going to be getting a lot of undetected defenders in my combats. Okay, so this is another Engineers event. This is another place, a roadblock, so I need to stop and figure out where this might go. All right, priority 1 of the Engineers event says replace an existing roadblock either in a VP hex like this, or at least an allied supply, which this is, with a reserve unit. So that's going to happen. And to keep things sort of logical, you look at the nearest unit and try to match the division or the corps, or at least the army. So the nearest one is going to be this. So the 106th from 18 Corps. And when we look in the reserve box, there happens to be 106 division unit. So that's going to make that very easy, and he's going to pop up here. And that's all the allies do. And now it's back to me. Oh, I didn't draw my 2 cards. I get to decide where I go from here. Interesting.